Chapter 11, Part 2, The Vision begins, scenes 11:9 to 11:20, introduction when infinity unfolds.
Scene. The moment has come. Krishna has granted divine sight to Arjuna, and the world as he knew it is about to dissolve. The still air of Kurukshetra begins to tremble. The boundaries between heaven and earth blur. The sky glows with a brilliance unknown to mortal eyes. Even before Arjuna speaks, his breath slows the heart senses what the eyes are about to behold, the infinite stepping out of silence.
Then, Sanjay the seer, narrating this divine event to the blind king Dhritarashtra, describes what words cannot truly capture. Through Arjuna's eyes, he sees the impossible Krishna expanding beyond form, filling all directions, embodying every god, every creature, every element. The blue of the sky, the gold of the sun, the red of fire, all merge into one boundless radiance. It is no longer one body, one face, one being. Thousands of forms appear within one serene and terrible, gentle and fierce, infinite and intimate. Arjuna sees universes emerging and dissolving within Krishna's cosmic body, as if creation itself were breathing in rhythm with the divine. For the first time in human history, a mortal witnesses the universe from the inside not as an observer but as participant. Arjuna realizes that what he once called life and death, victory and defeat, mine and yours, are all movements within one vast eternal consciousness. This vision is not just for Arjuna, it's for every seeker who ever wondered, what does God look like? The answer, everything.
Now, for us today, this moment mirrors the awe of realization when we suddenly perceive the vastness of reality beyond personal story. Whether through science revealing galaxies or meditation revealing inner cosmos, we glimpse how tiny yet sacred we are. The ego feels small, but the soul feels infinite.
Krishna's revelation shatters human pride. The divine does not fit into temples, doctrines, or names. It encompasses existence itself. To witness this is to be humbled into silence, the natural response of the heart before the eternal. True spirituality begins not when we speak of God, but when we fall silent before His immensity. Focus. The vision of truth dissolves ego. Humility is not weakness, it is what remains when the infinite fills the heart. Scene 11.9. Sanjaya describes the vision.
Scene. Sanjaya speaks to Dhritarashtra. Then, O king, Krishna, the great lord of yoga, showed to Arjuna his supreme form of countless mouths and eyes, countless wondrous sights, adorned with many celestial ornaments, and armed with many divine weapons.
Then, through Sanjaya's words, we become witnesses to the witness. Arjuna's eyes now behold what no mortal eyes have ever seen, the totality of creation embodied in Krishna. Thousands of eyes gaze back, thousands of faces radiate across dimensions. The Lord of Yoga reveals himself as the universe itself, dynamic, multidimensional, eternal. For Arjuna, this is both awe and terror. The friend beside him has vanished into infinity. Krishna's gentle human form is gone. What remains is boundlessness, dazzling, infinite, unstoppable. Every god Arjuna ever worshipped now lives within Krishna's body. Every weapon of destiny gleams from his hands.
Now, this verse captures the beginning of transcendence, the moment when spiritual understanding breaks through the limits of logic. The mind that once separated God from world is now undone. To modern seekers, this mirrors mystical awakening moments when you realize you are part of something so vast that the self disappears.
Krishna's revelation reminds us that the divine is not one being among many, but the unity behind all beings. What appears as diversity is the play of the same consciousness. Focus. The infinite is not elsewhere, it is the totality itself. When you awaken to this, awe replaces fear and silence becomes worship. Scene 11:10, The Light of a Thousand Suns.
Scene. Sanjaya continues. If 1,000 suns were to rise together in the sky, their combined radiance might resemble the splendor of that great being.
Then language strains under the weight of the vision. The light emanating from Krishna's cosmic form defies imagination. It is brilliance without heat, fire without burning, a radiance that illuminates both creation and consciousness. Arjuna sees with eyes beyond eyes, his soul stands on the edge of infinity. The 1,000 suns are metaphors for the intensity of awareness flooding his being. This is not light of physics but light of revelation, the pure recognition of truth. Arjuna is no longer just seeing God, he is being seen by God.
Now, in our modern age, this image still moves us. We live in a time where telescopes capture galaxies and minds capture data, yet none of that compares to inner illumination, the light of realization that dawns within. The same infinite energy that powers stars also fuels our consciousness. This verse invites us to remember that divine brilliance is not reserved for the chosen few. Every act of awareness, every spark of creativity, every moment of unconditional love is a reflection of that thousand-sunned splendor.
Focus. Divine light is not external, it awakens within. The more you open to awareness, the more creation shines through you. Scene 11:11, all forms within one.
Scene. There, Arjuna saw the entire universe divided and yet united, all beings, gods, and wonders gathered in the body of the Supreme Lord.
Then, the paradox of divinity unfolds. Arjuna sees everything, gods and demons, humans and animals, the vast spaces between stars all contained within one infinite form. Mountains rise and dissolve within Krishna's chest. Galaxies whirl like jewels in his crown. Yet despite the diversity, a deep unity pulses through it all, like many waves dancing on one ocean. For Arjuna, this sight breaks the mind's boundaries. He no longer stands before God, he is within God. Every fear, every memory, every face he knows now finds place in this living universe.
Now, this verse translates directly into modern spiritual understanding. Everything is interconnected. What physics describes as energy and consciousness describes as awareness are two sides of the same truth. All are part of one vast field of being. The mystic, the scientist, the poet, each touches this truth in different language. When you begin to sense this unity, compassion arises naturally. You no longer hurt others without hurting yourself. Seeing all within one awakens both wonder and responsibility.
Focus. Unity is not a concept but perception. To see all within one is to love all as yourself. Scene 11:12, the dazzling glory beyond measure.
Scene. The radiance of the Lord filled the heavens and earth. The brilliance was so great that it seemed there was no other light, no direction, no above or below, only one vast blazing whole.
Then the climax of the vision builds. Light obliterates distinction. The battlefield disappears. The sky becomes consciousness itself. There is no boundary, no orientation, only omnipresence. Arjuna stands suspended in divine awareness, seeing without seeing, hearing without ears, knowing without thought. This is the moment when the many collapses into the one. It's overwhelming, ecstatic, and frightening all at once. For Arjuna, this is not peace but awe, the unbearable beauty of truth.
Now, for us, this scene is an invitation to glimpse what awakening truly feels like, the dissolving of ego into wholeness. Every spiritual experience, no matter how small, echoes this moment, when division fades and you realize there is only being. The brilliance that fills the heavens and earth is not far away. It is consciousness itself. When the mind becomes still, you taste a spark of that endless light, not as spectacle, but as serenity.
Focus. The one shines through all. When your inner eye opens, duality dissolves and everything becomes radiant with presence. Scene 11.13. Arjuna beholds the universe within Krishna.
Scene. Arjuna saw the entire universe, divided yet united, standing in one place within the body of the Supreme Lord of Lords.
Then the vision widens beyond imagination. Arjuna sees everything, gods, sages, mountains, rivers, suns, and stars, all moving in harmony within Krishna's boundless form. Worlds revolve like atoms in his radiance. The faces of time and destiny dance in eternal rhythm. In one glance, Arjuna witnesses what no scripture can describe: the whole cosmos alive, pulsating as one being. The battlefield, the armies, the weapons, everything is still there, but now as threads in the infinite fabric of Krishna's body. Arjuna no longer sees this side or that side, enemy or friend. All differences vanish, everything is divine.
Now, for us, this moment mirrors the mystical experience of unity, when the mind falls silent and everything appears connected, flowing from one source. The same awareness that moves galaxies moves within us. Modern science glimpses this truth through quantum interconnection. Spirituality calls it the oneness of consciousness. This vision shatters duality, good and bad, gain and loss, all dissolve into divine purpose. The mind cannot sustain such vastness, but the soul recognizes it instantly. I am part of that.
Focus. Oneness is not concept but vision. When the soul awakens, even opposites become expressions of one infinite harmony. Scene 11:14, Arjuna's awe and trembling devotion.
Scene. Then, filled with wonder, Arjuna, whose hair stood on end, bowed his head and joined his palms in reverence to the Supreme Lord.
Then Arjuna trembles, his body reacts before thought, hair bristling, knees weak, heart racing. It is not fear of harm, but the shock of holiness. The majesty of God unveiled is both magnificent and overwhelming. Arjuna's ego, once strong enough to question, to argue, to choose, now dissolves into reverence. His bowing is not ritual, it is surrender. He no longer knows where he ends and the divine begins. The warrior who once lifted weapons now folds hands. Action ceases, devotion begins.
Now, this is the natural reaction of every soul when truth fully dawns, awe that humbles, love that silences. We chase transcendence but rarely prepare for its immensity. The divine, when truly seen, strips away pride and noise. What remains is simplicity, the reverence of being. In our lives, we touch this moment in small ways during profound beauty, deep gratitude, or loss that reveals what really matters. In those seconds, something beyond words shines through, and humility feels like freedom.
Focus. Real vision humbles, not inflates. When the heart bows before infinity, surrender becomes strength. Scene 11:15, Arjuna speaks, I see all gods in your body.
Scene. O Lord, I see within your body all gods and beings, Brahma seated upon his lotus, all the sages and the divine serpents. You are infinite in form, with no beginning, middle, or end.
Then Arjuna's voice trembles as he describes the indescribable. The entire pantheon of existence, creation, preservation, destruction now lives within Krishna's form. Brahma, the creator, Shiva, the dissolver, Vishnu, the sustainer, serpents symbolizing primal energy all appear as aspects of one divine. The illusion of many gods collapses into one infinite consciousness. Arjuna's awe grows. He no longer worships deities as separate beings. He sees them as limbs of Krishna's universal body. Every faith, every path, every creation myth finds its unity here.
Now, this verse is the antidote to sectarianism. Religion divides when it forgets that all gods point to the same source. Krishna's revelation teaches that diversity is divine artistry, not contradiction. The same sacred energy animates all, whether called Christ, Shiva, Allah, or Tao. Spiritually, this verse invites inner integration. Just as the gods unite within Krishna, your mind, heart, and body find peace when you realize they too serve oneself.
Focus. The one wears countless faces. Honor every path that leads toward light, for all converge in the same divine truth. Scene 11:16, Countless faces, infinite eyes.
Scene. O Lord of the universe, I see you with countless arms, stomachs, mouths, and eyes extending in all directions. I see neither your beginning, middle, nor end.
Then the vision becomes immeasurable. Arjuna's language collapses into poetry. Krishna fills every direction, an infinite being whose faces gaze from all points in space. He is expansion without boundary, time without limit. Each mouth speaks a truth. Each eye sees eternity. Arjuna struggles to describe what human words cannot contain. The Lord is no longer anthropomorphic but cosmic, the embodiment of existence itself. The battlefield stretches into infinity. The horizon curves back into his being.
Now, for us, this verse reveals the difficulty of describing divine experience. The mystic's vision is not linear, but total. Every direction becomes center, every moment, eternity. When we awaken to this truth even briefly, all sense of isolation fades. You realize that life is not happening to you, it is happening as you, within the infinite field of being.
Modern parallels exist in science's vast discoveries, countless galaxies, endless cosmic expansion, yet even that grandeur is a metaphor for the boundless consciousness within. The universe outside mirrors the infinity inside. Focus. The infinite has no boundaries. Seeing all directions as one is the beginning of liberation. Scene 11.17, Radiant like fire and sun.
Scene. I see you shining like a blazing fire, dazzling like 1,000 suns. You are difficult to behold, yet everywhere I look, I see only you.
Then Arjuna's senses are overwhelmed by Krishna's light. There is no darkness, no shadow, no otherness. The vision burns away duality like fire consuming fog. Krishna's brilliance is both terrifying and tender power beyond measure, beauty beyond description. Arjuna's words tremble between ecstasy and fear. To see the divine directly is to lose all sense of separateness. It is death of the ego and birth of pure vision.
Now, in our lives, divine moments often come as intensity love that melts defenses, loss that strips illusion, truth that burns but liberates. The light that blinds the ego also illuminates the soul. What feels unbearable at first becomes the fire that transforms. Arjuna's vision reminds us that illumination is not comfort, but awakening. The divine's light is not warm candlelight, it's the sun that dissolves shadow completely.
Focus. Divine light burns illusion to reveal truth. Let what blinds your ego become what frees your soul. Scene 11:18. You are the eternal and supreme.
Scene. You are the supreme, imperishable being, the primal God, the oldest and highest refuge of all. You are the knower and the known, the abode of the universe.
Then Arjuna now speaks with reverent certainty. The vision has transformed understanding into realization. Krishna is no longer teacher or friend. He is the eternal self, the womb and witness of all existence. Arjuna recognizes that even his own awareness is part of that divine consciousness. His declaration, "You are the knower and the known," holds the secret of non-duality. The seer and the seen, the questioner and the answer are one. There is no outside of Krishna. Everything arises and dissolves within him.
Now, this is the essence of every mystic's realization. God is not a concept, but consciousness itself. When you know the knower, the search ends. The separation between I and thou vanishes. The world doesn't disappear, it becomes sacred continuity. In daily life, this awareness is liberation from anxiety. When you remember that everything, even thought and breath, happens within divine intelligence, control gives way to trust. The storm remains, but you become the sky that holds it.
Focus. God is the knower, the known, and knowing itself. Realization begins when you recognize you are already within the divine. Scene 11:19. Infinite forms without beginning or end.
Scene. I see you without beginning, middle, or end, infinite in power, with countless arms, the sun and moon as your eyes, blazing fire as your mouth, and heating the whole universe with your radiance.
Then Arjuna's description becomes cosmic poetry. Krishna's body is now the universe, sun and moon, his eyes, fire, his breath, the stars, his ornaments. His radiance nourishes and consumes simultaneously. Creation and destruction are one rhythm of divine play. For Arjuna, this is not metaphor, but direct vision. Everything he once saw as outside now shines as Krishna's form. The infinite wears the cosmos like a garment of light.
Now, for us, this scene is the bridge between metaphysics and perception. The sun that gives light, the moon that soothes night, the fire that sustains life, all are divine expressions. Every element of existence carries sacred purpose. The same forces that shape galaxies shape us. When we recognize this unity, reverence replaces exploitation. We no longer see nature as resource, but as revelation. Every sunrise becomes prayer, every breath communion.
Focus. The divine is not above creation but within it. Seeing the sacred in all forms restores balance and gratitude. Scene 11:20. The universe trembles in your splendor.
Scene. The space between heaven and earth and all directions are pervaded by you. Seeing this wondrous and terrible form, the three worlds tremble with fear.
Then the vision reaches its peak of intensity. Krishna's cosmic body fills all existence. His energy shakes worlds. Gods bow, demons flee, sages fall silent. Creation itself quivers in awe. Arjuna too trembles not out of doubt, but reverence so vast it borders on fear. The majesty is unbearable. For the first time, Arjuna understands the full scope of divinity, not only the nurturing and beautiful, but the awesome and terrible too. God is not just love but law, not just light but also the fire that purifies.
Now, this scene reminds us that true spirituality embraces the whole creation and destruction. joy and sorrow, life and death. The universe trembles because it recognizes its source. We too tremble when the illusion of control dissolves and we glimpse something infinitely larger guiding everything. Reverence is not fear of punishment, it's awe at perfection. When you realize that the same power that moves galaxies beats your heart, you cannot help but bow in wonder.
Focus: to know God is to revere both beauty and power. Awe keeps faith honest, humility keeps wonder safe. Closing summary: the vision of awe.
Scene. The battlefield stands still, but within Arjuna's sight, all worlds move. The Vishwarupa has unfolded infinite, radiant, inconceivable. Every form, every being, every element is now revealed as Krishna himself.
Then Arjuna saw the entire universe contained within one divine form 11:13, bowed in trembling reverence 11:14, and recognized every god and being within Krishna's body 11:15. He described the countless faces and arms of the Lord 11:16, the blazing light of fire and sun 11:17, and proclaimed him the eternal refuge of all 11:18. Finally, he saw that the sun, moon, and fire are Krishna's own features, and that even heaven and earth shake in awe of his grandeur 11:19, 11:20. This is the culmination of vision, not imagination, but direct perception of unity. For Arjuna, it is both blessing and burden. The glory is too vast, too fierce, too complete. Yet within that fear arises ultimate humility, the recognition that everything, even fear, is sacred.
Now, these verses mirror the spiritual journey of every sincere seeker. When truth fully reveals itself, it doesn't comfort first, it humbles. The ego, accustomed to control, trembles. Yet this trembling is liberation. Awe dissolves arrogance. Humility gives birth to wisdom.
The Vishwarupa vision teaches that God is not separate from reality, he is reality. Every aspect of existence, from the peaceful sunrise to the violent storm, is a facet of the same divine play. Spiritual maturity comes not from denying one half of life, but embracing both as sacred.
For modern readers, this chapter transforms how we perceive the world. The divine is not limited to holy moments or rituals, it pulses through every heartbeat, every atom, every star. To truly see it is to realize that nothing is ordinary, and no one is excluded.
After this overwhelming revelation, Arjuna will bow, trembling, and speak again no longer as a student asking for proof, but as a devotee standing before infinity. Focus: the vision of truth humbles and heals. When awe replaces arrogance, when reverence replaces control, the soul stands free before the infinite.